Okay, so to finish out these notes, I wanted to show you graphing absolute value inequalities as a separate kind of topic because they are graphed a little bit differently, and I want to talk about how to graph these as kind of a review of lesson 7. So for graphing an absolute value inequality, what you need to know, what I want you to know, is how to find the vertex first of all. Okay, because from the vertex you can graph the branches off of that to create that V shape. So the vertex of this inequality, of this absolute value inequality, is the point 1, 2. So from our transformation lesson before, this means translate right 1 and up 2. So the vertex is going to be the point 1, 2. So I'm going to graph that right here. And from that vertex, I'm going to draw the branches that create that V shape. So first of all, I'm just going to think of those branches as having kind of a slope, all right? That makes it easier to count. So it's slope of -3, and I'm going to count from my vertex down 1, 2, 3, right 1. And to draw that branch, we've got to notice that's greater than, so it's going to be dashed, okay? It's going to be dashed. So I'm going to draw a dashed line from that vertex. Using symmetry, my other point is right here, using symmetry to graph that. So I counted down 3, right 1. With that symmetry, I count down 3, left 1. So a dashed line going the other way. And then from there, we got to figure out where to shade. So you could, I don't think the point 0, 0 falls on there. So we could use the point 0, 0. What I'm going to do though, is I'm going to use a point that I know is underneath right here. Okay? I'm going to use the point, I'm going to use the point 1, 0. I should have gone up a little bit. I'm going to use the point 1, 0, okay, to test. So to test this, y is 0, x is 1. The way I'd write this is 0 has to be greater than -3 times x minus 1 plus 2. And I should have put the x value in. X value is 1. So this inequality becomes 0 is greater than -3. Well, the absolute value of 1 minus 1 is the absolute value of 0, which is 0 plus 2. So then that becomes 0 is greater than 2, because this is 0 plus 2. So that is false. So I'm not going to shade inside the V shape. I'm basically going to shade outside of that V shape. So I'm going to shade everything above my upside down V, okay? Everything above my upside down V, because that solution that we tested turned out not to be a solution at all. So I shaded outside of that V shape. So I've just got one guided practice for you to graph. So try and follow that last example as a template to graph this absolute value inequality. So pause, work through it, and then check your answers once I resume the video and show you my solution. Okay, so to explain this one, again, finding out the vertex. The vertex for this one was -2, -1. So I graph that vertex. I think of that 2. This 2 comes from the 2 on the front of my absolute value inequality. So that's why I counted up 2, right 1. And then for the symmetry, I counted up 2, left 1. I tested the point 0, 0 because I know for sure that doesn't fall on my boundary line. And I tested that as a solution. It turned out to be false. So instead of shading the outside of my V shape, I shaded the inside of my V shape. So it's about finding the vertex, finding out how wide or how narrow you make your absolute value graph, just the graph of the boundary, and then testing a point. So it's just like the lines. Instead, the vertex part, and that vocabulary of vertex is going to be important as we move forward in this class. So that vertex, you remember, is the highest or lowest point on our absolute value graph. So now I'd say you're ready for the practice. Again, I'm going to try and modify the directions so that you're not doing as much graphing by hand since most of you don't have a physical copy of the practice.